Welcome everyone to the game between Maksismovic, a grandmaster from Serbia, and Gukesh. This is from the World Blitz 2025, never been published on ChessBase India, for the first time. d4, knight f6, and we have the Trumpowsky. d5, and he plays knight d2, bishop f5. Quickly, Gukesh gets the bishop out, and Maksismovic was going to take the knight, but then paused. Now he takes it. Pawn takes on f6. You can see that an imbalance has immediately been created. Black has the bishop pair, while white has the two knights. Of course, it's in white's interest to keep the position slightly closed in nature, but at the same time, how should white place the pieces? One idea is to play bishop d3, offer a trade of bishops. The knight could come to f3, the knight could also go to g3, but the fact that Maksismovic is already thinking here means that he is out of his preparation. He plays his pawn up to c4, and Gukesh takes. Bishop takes on c4, and now bishop comes out to d6. This does feel like a position of koken with this structure, where a knight takes f6 happens. Queen f3 attacks the bishop, slightly awkward position for the queen. And maybe one move is bishop g6. That's possible, but I think it's a nice move because what you want to do is go knight e2, knight g3, and then clamp down on the f5 square. Gukesh plays queen d7, and if you are careless and play knight e2, then bishop g4 could trap the queen, but there is a queen e4 check, so it's not really trapping yet. So he could play knight e2 here. He does play knight e2. He sees that there's queen e4 check. Gukesh castles here. And now h3, just stopping all bishop g4 ideas. And now for Gukesh, he goes knight a6. Maksismovic can actually take Gukesh pawn structure and then castle. Play rook c1, maybe the other rook goes to c1. Knight b3, knight c5. This looks like a very pleasant position for white. Will he do it? Because then it might be very difficult for Gukesh to create counterplay in that structure. Thinking about it here, because giving up your bishop in some ways are not so easy. He castles first, and now Gukesh brings his knight quickly to c7. Knight comes to g3, attacking the bishop, also creating a square for the knight to come to e4. There could be certain tactics. Imagine a knight on e4, and then if the bishop moves, I can sack and then knight takes, and then the queen would be hanging. So there could be potential ideas. Oh, look at that. He's going for it. He's going for it. Imagine that you play a move like a5. There could be this plan, although there's bishop g3 doesn't work. I was too tempted with this. Bishop e7, rook a d1, and now Gukesh goes b6, taking control of the c5 square. Bishop drops back. White's position is definitely preferable right now. Gukesh is under pressure, and he's thinking about what to do next. He goes knight to d5, just putting his knight on a good square. I think rook c1 and shifting to the c-file is a good idea. He goes knight c3, but now Gukesh can change the structure a bit. Yes, he takes here.
And if you can get a good nice c5, it would be really cool. He goes bishop d6, putting pressure on the knight on g3. And one of white's plans can be rook e1 and e4. He goes rook d2, rook e8, rook d1. And pawn to b5. The bishop drops back to c2, and white is trying to trade off black's bishop pair here. Gukesh thinking whether he should take or let white take on g6. What should be a better way to continue? he takes on c2. Rook c2, the position is around equal. He doesn't trade on g3. He wants to let this imbalance remains. But now the knight jumps to f5, putting pressure on the bishop. The bishop drops back. Maybe there's g6 and f5 on the cards. You could potentially push your pawn to c4. He does. Pawn to c4 played. And I love how Maksimovic has played in this game. It's 23 moves, and he's kept a small edge for white. Also, the clock timing is almost equal, so he's matching the world champion move for the move here. Pawn to b4 and c5 played. He made the square for the knight on d6, but the bishop protects that square. And now Gukesh is thinking, what is the next way he should continue? He goes, oh, he's planning to play rook. But where does he want to go? Rook d8? No, rook b8. Maybe to power his b-pawn down the board? Rook b1 played. Although d5 takes and then rook d5 would have been a great position for white. Rook comes to e6. Gukesh is defending. Maksimovic is on the offensive here. He can even play g4 here. He's in control, basically. Queen comes up to f4, attacking the rook. Don't blunder the rook. Rook b5 played. Gukesh also 10 seconds down on the clock now. The pressure is mounting. Who's going to blink first? Who's going to make the first blunder? You can see Maksimovic being so concentrated. He plays rook c1 here, kicking the knight away, and d5. Ooh, some tactics. If pawn takes, knight d4 with a fork. That's his plan. And so Gukesh now trying to figure out the solution. In less than 20 seconds, he takes with the queen. Knight d4 a fork. Rook e4 missed, and now the queen is attacked. Great play by Gukesh. Queen takes f6, and now you can take rook takes c5, because the bishop protects the pawn. Very important now, maybe you take on c5, and then queen takes c6, and position is equal. But Maksimo down to 20 seconds. He has to make his move. What is he thinking? Yes, take on c5. Take. And now the queen takes c6, and it should be equal. Should be fine. I mean, black has a good position, but white is also okay. I think he's about to take, but now knight b3 makes a mistake. Clear error, attacking the bishop, but now the bishop can drop back and c6 is defended. You can't take it. Check with just 1 second. Takes on a5. And now c5 is played by Gukesh. Good move. Maksimovic brings his queen to d5, queen e5, and now rook e3 check can be an idea. Whoa, blunders, blunders. Gukesh has 10 seconds. Rook e3 is a winning move, but very tough. He gives a check, king f1, the position is back to equal. And rook e5 he pins, but queen c6 is the only move. Now he goes to queen d3, a blunder. Check, king here, and picks up the rook. Free rook. Knight to d7 played, but now it's all over. Gukesh has everything under control. Rook comes back, and Maksimovic, well, that pressure, that adrenaline was insane. Queen e4, and here it will bring a rook down, he resigns. What a finish that was. And you can see the player setting the pieces back, Maksimovic shaking his head. This was the moment where Gukesh had a beautiful tactic after knight takes c5. He could have taken the pawn on e3, and let's try to analyze that on the big board here. So after rook takes e3, the point is f3, and now the queen takes e3, and the rook falls with a check. So that is, he has to go like king f1 check, and then you pick up on c5. So rook e3 was a very, very nice move. It was a simple move, but sometimes you don't see it. Gukesh went here, and now after his move, rook e5, if you had played queen c6, which is a very hidden defense, the point being that after check, king e2, if you do take on c1, I have knight e6 check, winning the queen. So after queen c6, maybe the easiest way is to take, and the position is equal.
Thanks for watching Chess Playzone. If you enjoyed this game, please like, share, and subscribe.